Welcome to Contemplative Living, where we view contemplations for the week to have a better understanding of our spiritual paths. This is Contemplative Living with Dave Bennett, contemplations and reflective meditations. Hello and welcome to another Contemplative Living, a helping hand on your spiritual path. I'm Dave Bennett, and today we're going to go through a number of thoughts about how to bring contemplative living into our daily lives. But first, I'd like to read a little something from Edgar Cayce. As these thoughts or vibrations or expressions give out to others, we receive these in return. That if we would bring the best to self and others, we should give of our best to others. See? That's Edgar Cayce reading 3991-1. And, you know, what Edgar's trying to say is that we need to bring the best of ourselves into each and everything. And we can start by recognizing ourselves. You are a unique expression of everything in existence, and you shine with the beauty of a million stars. Most of the time, we don't recognize ourselves. And when we don't recognize ourselves, when we don't give ourselves credit for all that we do, we tend to feel diminished in our daily activities. So it's important to recognize that, yeah, we are a shining star. We have a divine essence within each and every one of us, and we can express that in everything that we do. But we need to take the time. We need to take time for self-help, for self-encouragement in order to bring that out. And I do it every day with my morning meditation and my morning contemplations. I find that that's the best way for me to kind of boost my energy, bring it to a point where I'm able to then share it with the rest of the world. And that's kind of the theme that we're going to kind of explore today. So if you're on live with me, go ahead and give a shout out. We love shout outs. And we're going to move along here. So, be the example others can follow. Living morally and bright is nice. You know, when we come from our inner light and when we're working with our inner light, it feels good. It feels right. And that's what it's really all about is bringing that light forward so that we can be an example. The one thing I learned in my near-death experience, my life review was really profound for me. And I saw that when I did something from loving intention, or when I was just being authentic, that others could feel that sense that they may not recognize what it is, but they could feel it and sense it. And when I returned to life and I had to figure out how to live with the understanding that we are spiritual beings and that we're here in this physical life and we feel like separate individuals, I realized I started what I called my quiet ministry. And what that meant was what I'd learned from my spiritual experiences, I was going to try to integrate into my life and then exemplify in the way that I live my life. And so That's the best way we can be totally present in this life and shine our light so that others can feel that light and turn their lights on as well. So I really feel that this is really key for all of us. Living morally and shining our light, and live authentically. It's hard sometimes. We have a lot of stuff going on in life, but it's hard to live that way. But as much as we can, that's what's important, to do it as much as we can. In our awareness, we attune to the universal power of our divine essence. And here we can see someone shining their light, just like we were talking. But our awareness is key. Our awareness is key to recognize the divine within us. And that's how we attune to that universal power of the divine, because we are a part of it. And when we recognize our divine essence, then we recognize that we are part of something so much grander than just ourselves. We are part of a oneness, of a unity that is hard to recognize here in this physical life. And why aren't you working here? I'm frozen up. There it goes. Wow, delayed reaction. Okay, so so we are that divine essence. And when we recognize that, it expands our awareness. It expands it so that we can then utilize it, be present, be more fully present. And I love after my contemplations how I have a sense of an expanded awareness. It just really, really helps me to explore my world, to live in a sense of wonder, and to be present. So we appear to be separate individuals, yet we are all inextricably connected at the level of pure awareness. This is the divinity in all life. That interconnection that we all share. It's awe-inspiring when we think about how we are connected to everyone and everything in this physical world and this universe, not just separate individuals. We are not just separate individuals. It appears that way, but that's part of the illusion of living in a physical presence. But we are inextricably, that means that we can't really be separated because we are connected. We are connected on so many different levels. We're connected energetically, we're connected through our divine essence. And when we allow ourselves to recognize that, then we begin to see the divine in everyone. And that allows us to interact in a much more peaceful and consistent way with each other. All right, it's working a little better now. All right, so silently, our awareness speaks, and our thoughts, feelings, and intentions ripple out into the world. So we're talking about our awareness, and our awareness is a two-way street. We receive information and we send information out through our vibrations, through our feelings. And anyone who has just a spark of empathic awareness can feel others. They can feel their emotion. They can feel their sorrow, their pain, but they can also feel their joy, their wonder, and their divine essence. So our awareness tends to be silent, but it does speak to us. and it speaks in so many different ways. And you've all experienced it in one way or another. When you have a gut reaction, you're feeling it. You're feeling that outer presence. The key is to recognize when it's your emotions and when it's others, or when it's a mob mentality, a group mentality where you get swept up in. And sometimes and sometimes that's hard not to separate yourself from that. Is sometimes we get so caught up in the circumstances and all of the emotion and all of the energy that is surrounding us, that it just picks us up and carries us along, even though we may not want to go in that direction. So it's important that we recognize what is ours and what isn't ours. Oops, didn't mean to turn that back on there. So that requires discernment. And remove hasty judgments. Be deliberate and accommodating with assumptions. Accommodating with assumptions, and develop tolerance. We cross paths with so many people in our daily lives, whether it's online, whether it's in person, and many times we make just these hasty judgments, these snap judgments that, this person appears this way, so they must be this way. Well, we haven't walked in their shoes. We really don't know their story unless we've lived it. And so for us to make a judgment based on appearance or something like that is really silly. It's an assumption. And you know the old saying, assumption is when you make an ass out of you and me, assumption. So, or assume. So let's not just assume, let's be deliberate and accommodating with our assumptions. In other words, use discernment. And give people the benefit of the doubt. It's hard to do because I think we're just programmed this way. And so we do it so often, and that's a part of that illusion of separateness that we were talking about earlier, because we're in this, we're really thinking that we're thinking of ourselves a lot, and so we make these assumptions about others, and instead we need to recognize that we are interconnected. We are all a part of that divine essence. They are making their judgments on how to live their life, and they're doing the best they can with what they have or what they've experienced in their life. But many times we don't give them the benefit of the doubt to recognize that. And so sometimes we need to, remove the assumption and allow people to be who they are. And it's hard. It's really hard. But it works to our own benefit when we can work from that premise that, we're trying to allow people to be who they are. They have their choices. I have my choices. I recognize what is my stuff and what is their stuff. And I keep that at bay so that I don't feel like I'm being imposed upon or anything like that. And I keep my integrity. So now that you have studied a better path, you can share your insight and wisdom. So at the beginning, we talked about how we each are this bright, shining star, and talked about sharing our light. Well, that's what the spiritual path is all about, isn't it? We're all trying to grow. We're all trying to learn. We're all students in this life. And so why don't we embrace that and embrace what we've studied, and then allow it to be shared in, remember I was also talking about living a life where we have a quiet ministry, where we live by what we've learned in life, bringing it into play all the time in all aspects of our life, in work, in play, and in all of our interactions. So you have studied and you've grown spiritually. And now you can share that insight and wisdom. I don't know how many times I'll be contemplating something, or I'll be working on a contemplation that I had in the morning. And then in the course of the day, all of a sudden, someone approaches or someone crosses my path, either online or in person, and their question is something that was just delivered to me, either through spirit, through synchronicity, and it allows you or me to share what I just learned. And by sharing and by teaching, we grow even more, because it ingrains it even deeper into our being when we're able to share something that we've learned. Ask any teacher and they'll tell you that in the course of actually teaching, that it helps them to become a better person as well. So I want to say hey to all the shout outs out there. Let me close this. All right. So, hey, Teresa and Bill. Glad to see you're here. Charles, Chuck, hey, good to see you this morning. Hope you're doing well. And Jean, good morning. I'm glad you're here. Travis, I'm glad you're here. A lot of times you comment and it's I never get to see it for some reason. And Camellia, great to have you here. Good morning. I hope, or good evening for you. Good evening. So thanks for coming on, and shine your lights. That's what it's all about today, is to be the person that you are, be your authentic self, connect with your divine essence, and allow that to permeate into all your interactions. I hope you have a great week. Namaste.